Restricted FA, bang my line. Bro, I know when we were talking about the shit yesterday, there was someone in there freaking the fuck out. I don't know. But saying that like they wanted iLLeY to be dropping shit. He was like freaking out, I'm pretty sure. And now I guess they got their wish. I was saying yesterday that like I don't think like the way OpTic played was like the end of the world. So like I was on the side of like I really don't think I thought OpTic was still a really good team. You know what I mean? I want to see what people like just like I guess on the Reddit have to say. So yeah, he tweets restricted free agent. Obviously, they're rumored to pick up a bunch of people, whatever. Gonna be a hot take, but this is the right move for the team. In the long run, they need a player that's gonna be with more slaying, man. Intangibles only get you so far. These hard points lack so much because of it. So this take right here, I'm about to go like look at the stats and shit. And again, you guys know my opinion on a lot of this. Don't get me wrong, like the more kills you can get usually equal a higher percentage of like you being able to work with that and then like become a better team. So like what I mean by that is like, for example, if like your issue, which we've had this issue in the past, is like we're getting so many kills and not making them productive. In my opinion, that is an easier fix than like, yo, you need to start winning your gunfights. To that degree, I will say one thing. A lot of the times you're not slaying well. Usually it's because like you're not playing the game correctly and you're playing like I was saying yesterday, you're playing a harder version of Call of Duty than you have to. Like for example, I guess like the easiest or the most dumbed down example I can give you is like imagine on a Fortress P3, right? Like imagine every time you play, you're running to break the Fortress P3. So you're constantly breaking and you're constantly running through a fucking small little gate or doorway into gunfights where the best players in the world are aiming at those doorways. That's not the most advantageous position to be in order to slay. There are players that are so goddamn good that even when they're playing like on their, I say like on their back foot, like they're still really good. So like there are people that are anomalies, you know what I mean? But even with that being said, like a lot of the times you're not slaying correctly. I feel like people often say like, or often go with like the take that people can't shoot straight. Like, bro, it usually has nothing to do with the gun skill. There is a tier of players. Again, I do think there are S tier caliber players that are just elite. Like where I do think they're just different, where they shoot better than people and shit. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like a lot of slaying and stuff like that is like, it's such a basic argument. You know what I mean? It's such a fucking simple argument. And you said iLLeY was a 0.92 overall. Same in hard point, so a 0.92 in hard point, a 0.89 in control, and a 1.01 in S&D. OBJ overkills any day, I say. See, that's also a really shitty take. No one spawns up and goes, I'm just gonna run into the fucking hill and just run into the hill, bro. Like, bro, a truly good Call of Duty team is like the jack of all trades. Like, you should be able to get the hill when you're near it, push out when you can. For the most part, obviously your main AR or like your slower paced AR will take more of like the longer range, like, you know, more of the power position fights and shit. But like at the end of the day, bro, like if, for example, Slasher needs to get in the hill and someone needs to push out, he needs to do it. Vice versa. Like you need to get kills to win in Call of Duty. My point of what I'm saying is the simple-minded argument of like, hey, just like get more kills and you'll win is like also not that. I do need to put the chat on screen. You're correct. Hold up. People that are hardcore Challenger watchers, just like what Kevy Skills said here. DanGhosty's been apparently fucking absolutely dominating Challenger. He's been really fucking good. He's been playing really good. Obviously, they're looking for more slaying power that we were talking about with iLLeY. So this is now confirmed, so we can talk about it more. From what I've heard and from what I've seen, I think Ghosty's pretty fucking good. I'm interested to see obviously how he plays on the roster and everything. If that's what they were going for when it comes to, like getting more kills and slaying, like obviously I think Ghosty's not a bad pickup. I don't know exactly if that was like their reasoning or if they gave a reasoning yet, but played with him last year and he'll complement with them well. Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I mean. Like I feel like he's like, I've heard nothing but really good things when it comes to like skill set and stuff with him. So I think he's going to be really good. He dropped like a 1.4 at Boston. That's what I mean. Like, he seems like he's in a really good spot where he's obviously slaying and getting a bunch of kills, and that's like what OpTic's looking for. So they should be pretty good. I feel like they were a really good team. And I don't know if, like, again, slaying was like the reason they weren't playing that well. Because the way I viewed their series versus LA Thieves, although, like, you know, shoulda, coulda, woulda, never actually gets you tournament wins. We talk about this all the time in this stream, but they played really good. They basically kind of almost like beat Thieves and then like chose to like obviously be like way too aggressive and then not beat them. So that's why I was saying yesterday where I do think iLLeY's role on the team is not to drop a 1.4. Now, there's so much more to the story that, like, I don't know. Like, obviously, I will say myself that I don't know, and, you know, we don't know and no one in the chat knows, because everyone uses the word in-game leader very loosely. But like at the end of the day, like a lot of COD players can think for themselves and stuff, and then you also really don't know what happens behind closed doors with practice and stuff. So like I wonder how much they valued that. The other thing too, I think some of you guys said it, but didn't they try and drop iLLeY already? Well, didn't that happen? They tried dropping iLLeY like N-Dashy at a point in time, or is that like, yeah, right? If I remember correctly, that's where I was gonna go with this. So this is no slight at iLLeY, but even like with what I was saying, I was kind of defending iLLeY. Like I don't think iLLeY's role on a team with Shotzzy, Hook, or Shotzzy, Scump, and Dashy is to go beyond crazy with slaying. A big thing, and probably the most important thing with teams and stuff, is not like good vibes, but a good culture of vibes. Meaning like productivity, you know, the right mentality, and everyone being on the same page, a good culture of vibes, like in that sense, to be productive and produce the best results that you can. And I feel like with them trying to make a change already before.
Yeah. So what? So obviously you are, you know, coach of Atlanta FaZe. What are your thoughts on your competition making a change like this?
Well, as the coach of Atlanta FaZe, no, I'm kidding. I mean, right before you joined, I was going on like a lot of people say like good vibes are only bullshit. Like that's not really what vibes mean, or the way I view them. Like a big thing, and I'm not saying this is iLLeY because I'm pretty sure iLLeY has a pretty good mindset. I'm saying for the team though, if like players don't have faith in each other, or there's like, you know, like not full 110% or 100% trust in each other, or whatever it is, like that kind of vibe hurts more than you would think. And like the vibes of having like the most productivity and to produce the best results of your players and your teammates and stuff, that's what really matters. And usually when you go through like, we're gonna drop you, then not drop you, and then, you know what I mean, that's kind of where it's a little weird. So like maybe that's something. We don't know what happens behind closed doors, so yeah. I have no idea. But that's where it looks a little like, that's where I think this change stems from. My point is just like, as a team, bro, you're gonna show up on days for scrims and a random Saturday and play like absolute shit. It's gonna happen no matter how good you are. You know what I mean? It happens to the best. You're gonna make a boneheaded play and you're gonna lose a map. The biggest thing when it comes to Call of Duty is finding the consistency, like hiring your floor and finding the consistency. And also, again, what I was just saying, like the culture of everyone being the most productive they can be and to produce the best results. And like, with that being said, if you're having issues behind the scenes with your team and all of that other stuff, that's where, even though, again, you said like iLLeY might not have made those plays, like maybe that's something that happened. It's so weird because they haven't made their statement yet. But I feel like that's where this stems from, because I don't think iLLeY's role is really to slay. And like, again, being an IGL is being an IGL. Someone just said like, that's what Slasher does. Like, yeah, Slasher is our in-game leader, and I think Slasher is an incredible leader. Like what he's done with our team has been great, but don't fucking disrespect Slasher. He had like a 1.16 or some shit in hardpoint. You know what I mean? Like, he still like plays 10, well. Like, bro, like
10-1 last match.
No, that's what I mean. Like, bro, like the in-game leader thing like is very important, and Slasher's role on this team is not to just dominate. But at the same time, like, you have to get on the same page where you play to the best of your ability, like that culture. I guess the way I believe, and I know I'm probably biased now because I'm a coach, but even when I wasn't a coach, like, I believe like from the top down, it stems, like everything stems from the top down. Like, you know, if you have a really good organization and like, you know, they do everything that they can do to facilitate you and become the best player in person that you can be, et cetera, that all trickles down into your gameplay. Like that culture all trickles down to your gameplay. So like, I think OpTic obviously has Hector, and you know, I think we don't have to argue that OpTic's incredible as an organization, but like, you know, that all trickles down. So it's like, then if you have that into really good general management, into really good coaching, into really good assistant coaching, into really good, like you start like going down, that all like that leads to the players. If that can all help the players become the best they can be, like that's what you need to do, or that's what you need to strive for. And I think like that's something you don't rush. I think OpTic, in my opinion, if they were having issues behind the scenes, then I think they made a good move. And I also think DanGhosty is pretty good. So they'll
probably speak on it. First off, Ant doesn't keep his fucking mouth shut, so I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sure
I mean, well, they're very transparent as much as, well, I mean, to the content world as they can be. So
shout out Leak C in the chat, and it's, you know,
coaching is overrated. I mean, yeah, you can think that if you want.
I mean, you and I talked about this on the Monday episode. Yeah. I
think good coaching is not overrated, but I also think that like you can also. Again, bro, as good of a coach you can be, you can also be a bad coach. And you can also just do nothing. Yeah, like, I mean, bro, it's just like anything. A good slayer is overrated if he doesn't know how to play the fucking game correctly.
Agreed, because otherwise they're just running around.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I would say that statement is just it's such a blanket statement. For example, you know, it's just hypothetically, this team would obviously not probably work. But like, bro, if you had Slasher, Crim6, JCap, and Karma, or myself, or like your TP, like just really smart players, like smart players on a team, they don't need another super smart coach. They would probably need a more of like a someone to show them trends, like the JP thing, right? Yeah, trends and also confidence, and like shit like that. But if you have a team that has none of that, but like then needs more structure, then you need a more more of a hard ass coach that's going to make sure you're showing up and doing, it just depends, bro. Everything's situational. That's why like the whole blanket statement, this shit is just it's like, I think coaches would be 10 times better if they could talk mid-map. I completely disagree. That'd be such a fucking crutch. Players should be able to call out for them fucking themselves, bro. It's not that hard.
It would be a bailout if you could just sit there and fucking look at all the screens and be like, rotate.
Absolutely, bro. You hear my team's comms last year? Imagine I could talk. Oh my god. But that's on everyone to do that. Hello, Ant. What's up?
Good, Ant.
Everyone welcome Nameless.
You're spitting some facts right now, bro.
Trying.
Every coach is different.
Yeah.
We gotta eliminate this like narrative that coaches don't matter. Some people are actually starting to believe that.
Well, again,
I think players that play in a different era kind of started this conversation. And to Chris's point, like it's hard to compare now to then.
But it's also hard to compare now to then, though, because like we didn't have coaches back then, so we kind of coached ourselves for the most part, and like the best player. But the best players basically do what coaches do to a degree now. They were just also playing, aka watching VOD, making all the shit. Like
they had been playing for a long time also prior to that.
Yeah, like 5, 6, 7 years plus. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these teams are like younger and they don't have that. Some of these teams like have that older person. Bro, if I was OpTic, I don't know. It's just weird. It's like, bro, bring him on as a sub, run it back with Ender. You guys are literally right there. Like, try to get that chip. And if it doesn't work out, like, dude, this guy's been on OpTic. He knows your guys' system. He's been watching you guys. But, bro, this guy's about to get smacked in under so much pressure, under fire of, like, a team that looks like it just hit the panic button. Like, it's just, I just wouldn't take a team that's top 4 and, like, add a recipe for disaster. Like, it literally could be a disaster in this state.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from. I don't think it will be as much of a disaster as you're saying it, but it can be though. It definitely can be, but like
it will be. I'm saying why add the risk? Like that's my point, is like assess the risk. And,
you just wanted them to basically take one more major 3 to like really see how this team progresses, and then if they were to start going backwards, then you do it.
Bro, it's your home. You just got top 4 in a month, and then you're going to your home major. Like, assess the risk. Like, it's just unnecessary risk. The team's going through so much change. Like, I don't, and like that's where I'm just confused as to like
their issue now with I kind of understand where you're both coming from, and I totally understand your take. I don't know why people are roasting in the chat, because I don't think it's a bad take. That was my take. The one risk that they've set themselves up now is that if they don't get top 4 or better at this major, everybody's gonna be like, well, we should have kept Ender because that was our floor in major 2 with 3 weeks of practice.
That's a really good point, Chris.
They've now put more pressure on them.
Yeah, no, there is I mean, yeah, the pressure is on. Oh, the pressure is on,
bro. It's like, fuck, if we don't get the same placing, what do? Do we bring him back in? Are we chalked? Like, bro, that is like the worst situation to be in COD, is like confused as to like what roster you want. That shit is awful, bro.
I'll also say one thing though too. It's like they're such a weird team too though, because like if they were not to get the same placing or whatever it is, I completely agree with where you're going from. But like also just not having a coaching staff, like we said, I don't think that needs to be rushed, because I don't think you should ever rush your coaching staff. You need to that should be like one of the the backbone of like your organization, in the sense of like who's working with the players. But like that's also a weird thing too, because like say they get like top 6, it's like 5th, 6th, it's like, could this roster have potential if they have more structure? It's like there's so it's like so like you can get like so like nerdy about it. So it's like at a very basic level, like if they don't get 4th or higher, like it looks like a disaster. If they don't like do well on the online qualifiers and they do bad, like it looks like a disaster. But it's like the potential of having like more structure around players like this, because I'm assuming the Ghosty move is to get more kills in the map. Or at least that's what people seem to be saying. If that's like, if that's what it is, like the more kills on the map without structure can be a disaster. It also could be a great thing, but it's also something where if you can fix, or you can like, it's an easier fix.
Bro, they're winning. They're winning a hard point. They were winning hard points this last major where someone's dropping 40 and they're winning by 5.
Well, let's not.
Yeah, so that's usually
like
productivity with kills.
he's not their coach, but like with decision stuff like this, he 100% has a hand in, I would assume, right? Like
he still cares about them.
Like,
there's no way.
Yeah, he still cares. Like he's not gonna let them make like a faded decision at least. So he's probably at the very least, like to your point, if they get like a top 6 and it's worse, like he can see and be like, okay, they're like 1 or 2 plays away here. Like team has potential. Besides like the 1 or 2 plays away, in terms of like the slaying, like bro, if who can just step it up a little bit, like I think the team gets way better. I just felt like he was frantic, giving away way too many kills in like bad spots. Like, and I think it maybe just because it was the first big tournament with OpTic, but as time goes on, like I think he's gonna like settle into his own again. Honestly, I'm just gonna say it blunt, bro. If they're picking up this guy to pick up kills, then like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Because if they need somebody to come in and drop 40,
that's such an ant way to put it.
No, I mean this is how I would say it. If you're picking up a guy to come in and drop 40 plus kills alongside DanGhosty, like pushing kill records and shots you run around slaying, and you don't know what the fuck you're doing on the map, and that's an issue. Like that's not what you need, bro. Like,
I don't know if that's entirely what you're saying, though, Chris, right?
No, that's not what he's saying. No, what he's saying is basically like, bro, if you get somebody coming to get more kills, it's a good thing, but also then you need structure, and that's where like a coaching staff.
Well, that's where I was gonna say that's where having a very good coaching staff, in my opinion, that's where like coaching with a team like this is honestly probably one of the most important things in my opinion. Can they still win without a coach? Absolutely. But like I think that would give them the best chances to win is to now provide like a really good structure with this team and so on and so forth.
But the thing is, historically, we do know the things that don't work, and that is like instant roster change when panic happens, dropping people, like putting yourself at risk. Like that's
being a shitty teammate, like all that stuff.
That's the shit that's the shit that does not work. But there have been different cultures over time that have won. Like,
I mean, you can win with a broken culture, and you but like that is usually just history speaking for itself. Like the broken culture bullshit doesn't last forever. You know, you can get like maybe a couple an event win, maybe a couple, but like eventually that's a ticking time bomb waiting to explode, and then explodes, and then it's just a fucking collapse. Like
and you're back to square one again. Yeah.
Like there's not one singular way to win, and there's not, again, you don't need a coach to win, and you can win without a coach, but you can also win with like, you know, it's easier to win with a coach depending. Like the coach also has to be good. It just, you can't just throw someone in the head coach role and be like, oh look, now we have a coach. I mean, I think we'll find out what Ghosty's skill. I heard Ghosty is disgusting. You know, like I have only seen him play a very little bit, but like I've heard he's good. But like, I guess my opinion on this is I don't think this is as much of a panic change as you're saying. I completely agree with the panic change like take. I just think there's more behind the scenes of like they already tried to drop the guy once. Like clearly, whatever it was, there was either a lack of faith or like he wasn't providing enough IGL, so they wanted to go more kills. Like whatever it was, I just feel like they've been thinking about this already.
So Seth's saying on Scump, Seth's saying on stream, by the way, that he's claiming that he didn't know and that he's not part of the decision making around the team.
Wow.
So that's actually pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
That's
You're
actually
telling
pretty
me
nuts.
You got literally like arguably the GOAT in your camp, and he wasn't a part of the discussion? Like I said, dust, Ben, being smoked in the OpTic camp.
Can you ask something? I'm mind blown at?
Wow. I couldn't. I'm sorry to scream in your guys' ears on stream chat.
That's all good.
You guys, brother, that is literally like
that's surprising to hear. That's surprising to hear.
It's like having MJ in your locker room and being like, yo, we gotta make a crazy roster move, having access, him still part of your org and being like, yo, what do you think about this guy?
Yeah.
Should we do it?
It's a 5-minute conversation max if you want it to be. Listen, before you guys start roasting Ant in my chat and they do in Chris's chat, like I agree with Ant on this one. Like, listen, you don't have to take his advice 100 p, but I do think he's got a lot of knowledge. He's been on a lot of teams.
A lot of knowledge. He is the knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. If you asked me, I would have thought I would have, you know, approached Scump just to see like his thoughts. You don't have to like, you know, take his word as gospel and do it. You know what I mean? But like, I'm surprised he's saying that he didn't know. I mean, I wouldn't have expected that. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't think this is as terrible of a move in the sense of panicness and stuff. I mean, we're gonna have to wait and see.
Bro, they're nasty. They're gonna be fine.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't.
Very,
I guess what I'm saying is I don't think they're gonna crumble. That's I don't know. We'll see.